Hello, everyone, and welcome to the start of the second quarter of this fiscal year. April Dunn Talks. Before I dive right into the Dunn Talks, what I want to do is kind of give you a little preview of the things I'm going to talk about this month, so at least you'll know some of the things you're gonna hear me talk about. High school. Working at the high school, the Mr. and Miss Seabreeze competition. I think we had the largest number of students ever in the competition. I'll show you some from behind the scenes, some photos and some video. This one, it's still an off-the-cuff talk, but I'll do a little bit of editing so you can see some photos and videos of some of the activities that I'll talk about. So, high school. Boy, do I have a lot to talk about in high school in general. Soccer in Orlando. I did some soccer during the month of April, but I had a strange situation. I want to speak with you about what happens when you're incorrectly scheduled to work an event that you shouldn't be working, but you actually show up. How do you deal with that situation? That's interesting. Trip to Portland, Oregon. Relatively quick to do wrestling, but hadn't been to Portland, Oregon. Unfortunately, it rained the entire time, so I'll touch on that a little bit. Colonoscopy. Yeah, who wants to hear about a health issue? I'll take you through a little bit about what the process was like, because some of you out there may have to do a colonoscopy real soon. You know, it's not, I won't say it's comfortable, but it ain't that bad either. As long as you mentally prepare yourself, you can deal with it. So we'll talk about the process of colonoscopy. The NFL draft in Pittsburgh. I was traveling back from Oregon, so I really didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of paying attention to what was actually going on in the draft. But my buddies in New York, that we all grew up together, Clayton and George, who are big Giants fans. They have their own podcast. They wanted me to join, but I just didn't have the time to be a part of their podcast. But I did join the NFL Draft Day first round. So it's the whole group of us are part of the NFC East, meaning we have the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, and the Washington Redskins, all covered during the NFL football season. So we'll talk a little bit about that draft as well. Lift Every Voice Honorary Captain Honors. Eric Dunn is killing it. My son, I am so proud of him. I can't tell you how proud I am of him. You can see a lot of his posts if you're following him on Instagram or Facebook. And I will be doing a TikTok post about that event. I've already done some stories and on Facebook and Instagram, but I'll actually do a post that will stay up on Facebook and a post that will stay up on Instagram, so you can see about 20 videos and pictures and photos about the event. But my son was granted the ceremony at a soccer game. A new team in Jacksonville made him the honorary captain. They call it the Lift Every Voice because of all the community service and all the work that he's been doing in Jacksonville since moving up there years ago. And he's being recognized and he's killing it. I mean, he literally has taken over the city of Jacksonville. So I'll talk about that as well. Not so good news was 2 deaths during the month of April. The first one was my goddaughter's sister. They weren't very close, but nonetheless, a death is a death. And I got to meet her for the first time during my goddaughter's wedding. And she was kind of out there. She was, loose and fancy free, lived in New Orleans. She was into yoga, carefree, and it was an untimely death at the age of 36. So I'll touch on that a little bit as well. Many of you already know I'm working on an AI movie about the 761st First Black Tank Battalion. The trailer is up on YouTube. So take a look at that and see that. Hopefully you'll make a donation. Remember, whatever size, it doesn't matter. If it's a $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, or $100 or $1,000 donation, your name will be added to the credits of the movie when it's completed. So we finished the first trailer, a 2-minute trailer, and we're now working on the second 2-minute trailer. If you watch movies, there's always more than one trailer to talk about the movie. So the first one will deal with the war and the Black Battalion. And the second one is going to deal more with the love story that was inclusive. My best friend's dad, this is a story about his experiences in World War II as part of that tank battalion, and how he met his wife and how they dated, and high school sweethearts, and then off to war, and then coming back. So we're going to create the love story trailer for this movie as well. I did a special post about freelance work. Freelance independent contractor, what you should and should not do if you accepted a position or accepted a job or an assignment for less money than what you normally get, but then all of a sudden you're offered more money, and what do? You cancel on the one that was less money. Shouldn't do that. We'll talk a little bit about that, but if not, you can go to TikTok. I have it posted on TikTok, and I also have it posted on Instagram, so it's up, and you can actually go see that one piece, the do's and don'ts if you're an independent contractor and a freelancer, and things you should and should not do. Also, I don't think I mentioned in last month, but it was my wife and I's 37th anniversary. 37 years married to the same person. That's a distinction, because I know people that have been married 3 and 4 times for 40 years, but not to the same person. 37 years with the same person. All I can say about marriage, and I think I've said it before, when you say I do, you better mean it. When you say in sickness and health, till death do us part, you better mean it. So 37 years as of last month, and if you've seen my previous Dunn talks, I'm dealing with some challenges with her health issues and being a primary caretaker. But it doesn't matter. To the end, till death do us part, for better or worse, sickness and health, richer or poor. And trust me, I'm experiencing all of it and have experienced all of it, and probably will continue as well. And then we'll just do a little bit of life talks, especially to the younger generation, teenagers. I had some crazy encounters with young kids that didn't know anything about encyclopedias. Folks, the one thing that I have to touch on, I don't actually have my phone in the room with me at the moment, but that phone that you have is very powerful. You can find out any and everything without asking anyone. But you still have to do the research. You still have to do the work. You have Google, you have Siri, you have Alexa, you have all of these sources to ask questions and to find out. Don't walk around being ignorant. Learn. The most silly and obscure things. You can ask Siri. You can ask Alexa. You can Google it on your phone or on your laptop or on your desktop. Don't be ignorant. Use the technology to learn. Because folks, there is an expectation out there now. We're living in a different time where people aren't going to tell you anything because they know you can find it out on your own. And if you're out there looking for work, no excuse. No excuse. Yeah, you're going to have to apply to 100 different jobs before you find the one you want, but guess what? Back in the day, in the late 1970s, 1979, 1980, 81, when I was applying for jobs, I had to physically print out resumes, put them in an envelope, know the address, put a stamp on them, and mail them out. I sent out 200 resumes, and if I recall, I think I got a dozen responses, and all of those responses were standard letters letting me know, we received your resume, we'll put it on file for 6 months, and if anything pops up, we'll let you know. Never heard from anyone. 200 resumes. Never heard from anyone. But you know what I did hear from? Networking. My people that graduated from my college, the university, high school, connections, networking. It was tougher back then to make those connections, but now you got all this social media. You can find anyone. Whether they get back in touch with you or not, well, that's going to be up to you, your technique. But you can find anyone. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. You know, I travel a lot, as you all know, but I'm a people watcher. I like to watch people. So I'll give you some of those experiences of some of the things that I notice when I'm watching people. Also, I talked about, and I think that's on TikTok as well, and it might be on an Instagram post, how you appear. You know, your appearance, what you wear, what you look like, how people see you first before they talk to you, so they're making a judgment of who you are. Check out that video as well, but I'll touch on a little bit of that. And, you know, again, I'm always wearing somebody's merchandise, but this particular company who I'm wearing, I'm a part owner in it. I'm a partner, I should say, in it. And, the Flight Media Group, we produce aviation videos, training videos, and stuff like that. But this group is also doing a documentary on me to accompany the book that I'm writing, the Book of Bruce. I think I've showed that to you as well, but I'll show it to you again in this particular video. So I'm always promoting something, someone, myself, others, my kids. Promote, market. That's what it's about. It's not necessarily being a salesperson, but it's doing something that you believe in, folks, that you believe in, all right? And if you believe in it, then it's not hard to sell it, okay? And I just want to remind you one more time that I'm on just about every social media application you can think about. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn. You can find me in all of those places. And then, of course, my website and of this one, YouTube, which you're on. So follow all the different social media sites, because unlike this long format of YouTube, all of those others are short snippets. And as you know, with Facebook stories, Instagram stories, Snapchat, they only go for 24 hours. So you'll see it and then it's gone. So if you want to see things that you might just catch, then yeah, you can look at stories. But the long formats, I do post on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, because all of those other mediums, they kind of disappear. And Threads is a little bit different. If you recall, I was doing a lot with the Black history, and I'm still doing that stuff, but not as much as I was doing. So I'm out on X as well. And I haven't talked much about the clothing line, but that is one of the other deaths that happened in addition to my goddaughter's death. Another death that took place was a young man, 50s, but younger than me. He was part of my brother's team and associations, Kevin Baskerville, and he passed away also. Still not sure of what, but I think the autopsy report is talking about potentially a heart attack. So Folks, take care of your health, all right? Make sure you're checking yourself. I don't care how old you are, you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Check yourself out. Take care of yourself so you can be around and hang out with me when I'm 100, all right? So that's all the things I am going to talk about in the Dunn Talks for the month of April. So let's get started. Okay, let's talk high school. As a substitute teacher at Seabreeze High School here in Daytona, Ormond Beach, I am still active working in the auditorium, handling the sound and the audio and the technician for the in-school performances and working with a lot of students. We just finished the Mr. and Miss Seabreeze. We'll be posting that on YouTube, but working with 26 students that were competing and working with several students in the tech end. It was a great time. It was a very enlightening experience and energizing for me to be around a lot of these young people, watching their performances, seeing how they were really into it, and getting to talk to them and being open so they could ask me any question, any question they wanted to about life. So that was an interesting time. And again, once that's finished and it's up on the YouTube site, it'll be on the Seabreeze High School YouTube site, but I'll provide you a link for you to see that. But that was one of my major events. That was one of the things that I got to do, volunteering my time at the high school, in addition to getting paid for it, the Mr. and Miss Seabreeze competition. Soccer in Orlando. Now, folks, this was weird. I had been working with a scheduler that scheduled me for a soccer game in January for the month of April. Things are constantly changing in the freelance world, and things are constantly changing in the broadcast and the sports world. So I do a fair amount of soccer in the city of Orlando periodically. I would say maybe one per month during the soccer season, but I was given in January the entire schedule. So I block out the dates that I'm available to work. Well, this particular Saturday, I get to the TV trucks in Orlando, and when I open the doors to go in, there are no production people. There's no setup, just tech people, engineering, camera, and audio. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? Well, there's something called REMI, remote integration. And that's what this event was. It was a remote integration. In other words, production's not on site. They're in another city. Matter of fact, they were in two different cities. They were in Stamford, Connecticut, and England. Yes, England. Now, you have a full production team, and I'm an associate director. So there was an associate director in England, and there was an associate director in Stamford, Connecticut. But now there's an associate director in Orlando, where there shouldn't be an associate director in Orlando. But I was scheduled to be in Orlando, so I showed up. Now, here's the crazy thing. I knew a mistake was made, but the tech crew was having some issues. So me being me, I helped them with setup. And I even set myself up as an AD as if I was going to work the actual soccer match. So I got there around, I think it was 1 o'clock. Crew call wasn't for me anyway until 3, but I got there early. I saw the scramble, I did a setup. And while I'm setting up, nobody says anything about what was going on. So now it's 4 o'clock, we break for dinner. During dinner, I'm hearing, well, we have England and we have Stamford, Connecticut. We don't know why we have Orlando here, but maybe Orlando's the backup and something goes wrong in the other two sites. Well, that made sense. We finished dinner. We get back in the truck around 5:30 to get ready for rehearsal at 6. The match starts at 7:30. And I get a text message saying, Bruce, are you on site? And I said, well, yeah, I'm here in Orlando. Oh, you shouldn't be in Orlando. You shouldn't be there. We don't need you there. We already have 2 ADs in other cities. Well, yeah, I know, in another country as well. So I said, well, I've set up everything. I'm here as a backup. I can help out in any area, stage managing, red hat on the field, whatever you need. Well, I'm sorry, we don't need you. You're free to go. You can leave. Okay. So I figured normally it would be a 10-hour day for me. So I worked 5 out of the 10. So I punched out. Folks, here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to get paid for those 5 hours. I have no idea. It's usually 30 days with payment with Apple TV and with the crewing company that I work with. So will they pay me for 5 hours? It wasn't my mistake. It was someone else's mistake. But not everybody always does the right thing. So we'll see. I'll let you know in the May Dunn Talks if I actually got paid for what I did in April. But something to think about. What would you have done when you walked in and realized you probably shouldn't be there? Would you have left? Would you have tried to find out should you be there? Or if you saw that somebody needed help, would you give them help first? Would you have worked an event not knowing whether you would or would not get paid? Just something to think about. I know who I am, but who are you? What would you do? So, just something to think about on that part. The NFL draft in Pittsburgh. All my buddies, all over the country. Like I said, Dallas Cowboys, me, Washington Commanders, Giants, Philadelphia Eagles. We all got together on a Zoom call here and watched the draft on ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network. And we collaborated on how the draft went. That was a fun night. I was wiped out because I just literally got back from Portland, Oregon 2 hours earlier. So my wife made dinner for me. I had dinner. I sat down. I logged in. And I participated up until, I think, probably 11:30 midnight. And then I finally went to bed that night. But then, lo and behold, had to get up the next morning and do what? Dialysis with my wife for 5 hours. So, folks, I have my fun. I have my enjoyment and entertainment. But I also have to do the things that are not always fun, but they are life and death, which goes back to those 37 years of marriage where you do the things that you're supposed to do, even when you don't necessarily want to do it or you're tired. And remember, Oregon is 3-hour time difference between Florida. So I flew out on a Tuesday night, got there late, 1, 2, 3 a.m. local time, but early there. Woke up, did an event all day Wednesday, got off the air local time, 8 o'clock, which now is 11 o'clock here, back to the hotel, 3 hours of sleep, got up 3 a.m., got to the airport to catch a local flight at 6 a.m. so that I could get home by 6 p.m. and catch the draft by 7 o'clock. This is my life, and this is what keeps it exciting. And this is what keeps me refreshed and going. Those crazy things that I do. The deaths now. Death, life, and there's death. My brother's merchandise team, CM, Cocomungo, Creative Minds. His team in New York, since he passed away 2.5 years ago, well, almost 3 come this next month, May. It'll be 3 years, actually. They're a fragile group. They're in their 40s and 50s, but they never made their own way, so to speak. So they depended a lot on my brother. And when he passed away, they leaned on me. But I had to tell them straight up, I don't have the time to run a merchandise business. I can do some of the social media stuff on it, but you guys are the manufacturers. You're the creators. You're the designers. You're the people that develop the content of the creation. So you got to do it. And if you don't keep it going, then I can't do the marketing. I'll promote it as I see it. Well, all of 2025, they didn't do much. And if you saw, I have an Instagram. I have a Cocomungo, Cocomungo. I have a Cocomungo Instagram that has all the merchandise on it. And I did do a post when my brother passed away saying, I can't do it, folks. If you guys don't step up, I'll be shutting this down at the end of 2026. Well, here we are, 4 months into 2026, and nothing has evolved. And now one of the associates of my brother, now he's passed away. So I can guarantee you everything is going to fall apart. They're not going to be able to do anything. But I will make this plea to those out there who are entrepreneurial. If you haven't been on my website, go to www.dunnenterprises.tv and look at my site, look at the people, look at the associates, and look at the CM portion of who the people are and all the people that are tied to CM. If you want to create merchandise, if you have stuff that you want to market, if you have things you want to sell, I have an infrastructure already in place. I have a corporation already in place. I'll help you set up your business, and you can tie into Dunn Enterprises of Central Florida, Incorporated, as an LLC. I'll talk you through it. I'll walk you through it, but I'm gonna let you know, this ain't no bullshit, okay? This is my business. And in order for me to keep this merchandise side of the business going beyond 2026, I need people that are real. So if you're not real, don't bother with me, because I'm gonna be rough on you. Because I need to see your designs, I need to see what you're about, and I need to understand what it is you're trying to do and what it is you want to do, so I can help you accomplish your goals. My mantra, if you look at my site, it's very clear. I become successful when I help you become successful. So it's not about me only, it's about you. So for part of the business model, if you decide you want to create merchandise and I have the infrastructure in place and I bring you on board and help you with everything, the split is going to be 60-40. 60% to you, 40% to me. Because I'm doing all the work and taking all the risks of the infrastructure, and I'll cover those upfront costs from the back end business. You got to take care of the merchandise stuff. But I have everything in place for you to become successful. Now it's up to you with marketing, sales, manufacturing, creating the merchandise, the website, all of that. I'm not going to do all that, folks. I'm just letting you know. So if you're real serious, reach out to me. and we can talk, and I'll assess what it is you think you want to do, and we'll go from there. Okay? That's a serious offer for serious entrepreneurs and people that want to create something on their own. Talk to me. Talk to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue, and I'll let you know how far I can go with that. So that's where I am with CM. That's one of the guys that passed away who was doing a lot of the design. The whole team now has split. They've gone different ways, but they're all out of New York. Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island. So I'm saying by the end of 2026, I'll be shutting down CM's Instagram page for sure. I'll be shutting down the X, or Twitter X. I'll be shutting it down. So if you want to see what that's all about, go take a look now before it goes away. Put your vision, put your thoughts together, contact me, and then we can talk it through. Go to my website, check it out, and make sure. Like I said, I'll have, the graphic is on the screen so you can see it, www.dunnenterprisestv.com. And then the Instagram you can find cocomungo.com, and the Facebook Cocomungo as well. All right? So that's business opportunity through death, because death is part of life. And the other person was my goddaughter's sister, Nikki Minhouse, or as she went through her Instagram handle, Nikki Mouse. 36 years old. I met her doing my goddaughter's wedding. Very what's the word? Charismatic. Forget it. You know what I'm trying to say. But very engaging, beautiful young lady. She's out there. She's wild. She was anyway. And she was into yoga. She was into the earth. She was into natural things. She was an artist. She was loving. She gave of herself, and unfortunately, it was just a timely death. Could have been an accident. We're still not sure, but she took a vacation, a trip, business vacation. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure who she went with, but she went out to California. She was at some resort, and apparently while she was in a hot tub, she had a seizure and drowned in the hot tub. That's what I've been told. Don't know how much truth it is. Don't know anything more than that. My goddaughter has been trying to deal with it, and I've given her space, and when she's ready to share more information with me about it, she will, and we'll go from there. But again, that happened during the month of April. So there's still a lot more to go, because even, Kevin, the other person that passed away, his funeral is not until May. Sometime in the month of May. So there's a lot going on there as well. Like I mentioned, the AI movie that I'm working on, 2-hour trailer. It's out there. It's on YouTube. I have a GoFundMe. Please, if you can, support that as well. And what do we have? What else? May is a feast month. I am working out of how many days does month May have? I should know that by now, but let's take a look. May is 31 days. Out of 31 days in May, I am working 20 of them, 25 actually. And some of the locations that I'll be going to: Peoria, Illinois, Charleston, South Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, West Palm Beach, Florida, Huntsville, Alabama, and Portland, Maine. Not Portland, Oregon, but Portland, Maine. Plus 2 trips to Jacksonville as well. I was trying to do a Nashville trip and do golf in Nashville, but I've had to postpone that due to my wife's appointments in the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. So I'm moving that to my birthday month, which will be in July, which, as you should all know by now, I turn 6'7". All right. So May is going to be very busy, and I'm looking forward to all those activities as well. I've told you about all the social media sites that I'm on, so there should be no problem finding me. If you're not following my son and daughter, they are an inspiration. If you think what I've done has been impressive, you should follow and see what they've been doing. They impress me constantly. And my son had this huge event in Jacksonville, which, I had no idea that he didn't even know that this was going to happen. But you need to follow Eric Dunn. He was the godfather of Vine back in the early days of Vine, while he was still a freshman in college at FAU, Florida Atlantic University. So he's 33 years old, or 32 years old. He's never worked for anyone. Complete entrepreneur. Okay? Came right out of school. Made money off of all of his YouTube videos. His stuff is still out there. You search YouTube, you'll see all the crazy stuff he did back in the days of Vine. He was politically incorrect, and to some degrees, he still is, but he picks and chooses how he does it. But he's never worked for anyone. Came right out of college with his economics degree and dove right in being a social media influencer and a content creator. And he picks and chooses what he wants to do. Has a podcast out there with one of his college buddies called Dunn and Drew. So look up Eric V. Dunn. Again, he's out there on everything. Plus, he has music. Yeah, he created his own soundtrack, and he has music out there. It's not on Spotify. Well, it might be able to find it on Spotify, but he's on SoundCloud or a different one. But you should be able to find that if you look him up, if you're into the music scene as well. And then there's my daughter, Brianna Dunn. Well, she's the older one. She's 36 years old, and she realized what her little brother was doing, and she said, bump this, I'm not going to be working for companies for the rest of my life either. And she's got 2 daughters. I've got 2 grandkids, and we're talking, teenagers and a middle school kid. But she is a foodie. But she found her own unique niche, called herself Travel Well Done, and that's done with D-U-N-N, Travel Well Done. You can find her and see all of the things that she does. What made her a niche market influencer was she tapped into the food of Jacksonville, Florida, but then she also tapped into mothers groups. Remember, if you have kids, that's ongoing. That's perpetual. So she tapped into the mothers groups of Jacksonville, Florida. Then she tapped into the African American community, and she's doing great things. Wonderful. Tap into her as well. Brianna Dunn. Travel Well Done. Dunn. D-U-N-N. Travel Well Done. She's got a website, Instagram, Facebook, X. She's out there as well. These are my 2 kids. I would like to believe that they learned a lot of doing this, what I call hustling, being an entrepreneur, from watching Dad through all these years create, fail, create again, fail again, create, success, 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 create, fail. They've seen the roller coaster ride, but they like the results of it. because when my wife was healthy and they were very young kids before we moved to Florida in 1996, after I finished working the Olympics in Atlanta, we moved here in 1996. Prior to that, they traveled everywhere when I was freelancing on the weekend. I worked full-time at Penn State, and on Fridays, I would jump in the van, because we had a Dodge Caravan, pack up the kids with the wife, travel to different cities that were within driving distance of State College, Pennsylvania. We went all up and down the East Coast, because back then, I was freelancing with BET, Black Entertainment Network. I was the graphics producer and graphics coordinator for Black college football and Black college basketball. And most of the games were all in the South and the East Coast and up the East Coast line. So I would travel to all of those events, and our kids were with us. Now, my wife was not into football. She was into basketball. But depending on the city that we went to, she didn't care about the games. She went because we were staying in 5-star hotels. So she would go hang out in the hotels, and because we knew a lot of people and stayed in touch with friends that moved into different cities, what we ended up doing, we stayed with she stayed, hung out with those people, invited them back to the hotel. While I'm at the truck working a 10, 12-hour day, she's out shopping, hanging out with her friends who also had kids, with our kids. It was a great time. My kids had such an experience with traveling, hotels, room service, meals. They're spoiled. I'll tell you right off the top. But you know what? That's what you should be able to do for those young people out there, for you young ones out there that aren't married yet, who are thinking about getting married and having a family. Spoil your damn kids. And for those of you that are in a position and you have grandkids and you're able, spoil your damn grandkids. The nice thing about spoiling grandkids, you can give them back spoiled and you don't have to worry about it. You can go, oh, my bad. All right? But that's what I encourage you to do. Follow Eric Dunn, Eric V. Dunn, and follow my daughter, Brianna Dunn. Travel well done. All right? If you're looking for opportunities, folks, you have to know people. If you can't find work, you have to network. You're not going to find a job, even though there's an abundance of opportunities out there. Guess what? I still open up my computer and I have all this stuff and all my technology. I'm on LinkedIn, which is a business social media site. And on LinkedIn, you know what I do? I have Indeed, and I set up a profile where I do get job offers. When I click on those job offers that are perfect for me, I should be hired instantly. I should be getting 10, 15, 20 calls. I don't get one call. Now, I have my own theories. I could be wrong, but I would say I'm 95% accurate in what I'm getting ready to say about the job market industry. First of all, you're competing against 100 to 1,000 people getting those jobs. Second, it's not directly through those companies. They have employment agencies, hiring agencies, HR departments. So they're filtering people. Third, they've got codes that they're looking for. They've got specific things. Now, I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss off some of you, and that's not politically correct. But you know what? It's the truth. Because I know how I am and what I used to do when I was in a decision-making position to hire people. And like I said, I'm forewarning you in advance. You're probably not going to like what I'm going to say. And I know some of you are not going to be able to change the situation, but if your name sounds ethnic, you've just potentially weeded yourself right out of a job. Sorry. I'm not even going to give examples. You know what I'm talking about. You know what the hell I'm talking about. If your name sounds ethnic, if it sounds black, you're probably not going to get a shot. Okay? My name is Bruce. Come on. Is Bruce black? Michael. Is Michael black? I mean, you see what I'm talking about? Female and women's names. When you have these names that you can barely pronounce and can't even spell them, and you've got somebody looking at your resume or application and they see this name that they can't even pronounce, you think you're going to get a phone call? You think you're going to get an email response? I would venture to say that the people that are screening those applications are probably in their 50s or 60s, maybe 40s. They're probably pissed off at the world, curmudgeons, as I call them, not happy in their own job. You might be more qualified on paper than they are. And the job that's being offered could be paying $65,000, $70,000, $80,000, and they want that job, but they can't apply for it because you know why? They might not have a degree. You have a lot of obstacles, folks, that you're up against when you're trying to find a job. You know what the biggest one is, though? The biggest one, your name. Your ethnicity. I'm proud of who I am. I have no problem checking that box when they said, what's your ethnicity? Black, African American, Asian, other, or choose not to respond, or what else does it say? Not applicable, or do not want to disclose. Folks, if you check the box that you don't want to tell them what you are, you're leaving it up to them. Chances are, because you don't want to say what your nationality is, you're of an ethnic group. Duh. Come on. Let's be real. So you've lost soon as you've checked that box. Be proud of who the hell you are. You're black, African American, check the box. Hispanic, check the box. Asian, check the box. Native American, check the box. Island Pacific, check the box. Don't not check the box, because that's an automatic assumption that you are of an ethnic group, which now they're going to look at the name to verify that. Okay, folks? Don't put yourself in a situation when you're already competing with hundreds and thousands of applicants. Accept that reality. Or at least, as I said earlier, a high 90s percentage that that's the case. Okay? So, just letting you know, these are some of the things you need to think about. All right? Wrapping it up for the month of April. Learn how to learn. What does that mean? My mom used to say that all the time. She said, I don't care what school you go to, what tough neighborhood you grew up in, you can always get an education if you want to get an education and you're working with teachers and people that are serious about education. Learn how to learn. Education isn't about memorizing things. Education is about having enough knowledge and information to hold a conversation with anybody about any subject matter. Like you know, I travel a lot. I'm on planes. People strike up conversations with me. And what I end up trying to do is break that stereotype of sports, because usually white folk older white generation, when I'm sitting next to them, the only way they can break the ice and start a conversation is asking me what sport I played because of my size. I'm over it. I know how to deal with it. I don't get offended, but I gotta break that stereotype. Just understand, that's what makes them comfortable. That's why they do it. So I'll tell them, and then what I do is I pivot and turn the conversation back on them to find out who they are, what they're about. Have them explain to me what they do for a living. My trip back from Portland, Oregon, just to give you an example. An older gentleman, he was my age, in the 60s. We struck up a conversation in the terminal before getting on the plane, and he had that look about him. We were flying from Atlanta to Daytona Beach. He had that look that just said wealthy. I don't know if he was or wasn't, but he also had that aura about him that said open, meaning approachable. I didn't approach him first, but I stood next to him. I stood by him to see if what I was sensing was correct. And it was. It started off as simple as saying, "Oh, looks like we're on time." That came from him. I didn't start the conversation. He said, "It looks like our flight's going to be on time." He goes, "Yeah." And then I followed up with, "Yeah, I take this flight pretty much, at least once or twice a week. So, yeah, getting out of Atlanta is pretty easy." "Oh, yeah, well, what do you do?" And I told him, associate director, working, just coming back from AEW, following wrestling. He wasn't in it. He wasn't intrigued. He wasn't interested. That wasn't his thing. So I could see immediately he didn't give a damn about wrestling. So I left it alone. And I said, okay, that's not the area that he's interested in. And then because I said, well, you live in Daytona Beach? No, I live in New Smyrna Beach, which is close, another municipality down from where I live, South Daytona. But then I mentioned, I said, I'm also a teacher and a tech person at Seabreeze High School. Boom! Wow, I graduated from Seabreeze High School. Connection made. Okay? You see what I'm talking about? But he looked like he would be that type of a person that would have graduated from a beach style high school, which is what Seabreeze High School is. Because guess what he is into? All the water sports, which I'm not. Surfer, scuba diver, a fisherman, has a boat, goes out fit. He was a lifeguard. All the water sports. Anything water, that was him. And I kind of sensed that because he had the perfect tan. He had a great tan. Again, this guy's in the 60s too. He's retired. His profession was manufacturing. Tool and equipment manufacturing. What does that mean? So you ask the follow-up questions. This is how I learn. This is how you learn how to learn. When you meet people and they do something that's not even close to what you do, ask questions. Get them to talk about who they are. He kind of didn't find his business exciting, apparently, because he really didn't want to talk about it. He wanted to talk about more of his water recreational sports than tool manufacturing. But somehow we got into a conversation about education through Seabreeze High School, talking about the younger generation, how they learn, how they perceive things, how they do things. And that prompted him into talking about the manufacturing business and how they can't get young people to do the things that he does. They're not entrepreneurial, or they are entrepreneurial, but they're impatient and blah, blah. We had a great conversation. But the conversation was more about him and who he was, his philosophy, what he's about. And that's how you learn, folks, because he gave me enough information to prompt when I got home after the NFL draft and after I got a good night's sleep to start Google searching some key things that he mentioned in tool manufacturing. I wanted to know, is that a profitable business? Apparently it is, because he sold it. And he sold it to some big company, tech company, I don't even remember the name, but he sold it. He didn't say for how much, but I deducted and deduced from our experience that he was doing okay. I didn't view him as rich. I didn't see any sign of that based on how he was dressed or how he looked. But most people that are well off, they're conservative because they don't want people to know that they're well off. I mean, a lot of the billionaires and millionaires, you rarely see them in a suit and tie. They're all in t-shirts, they're in t-shirts and jeans and sneakers. But usually they're wearing one piece of jewelry that's worth more than the house that I live in. And I'm always looking for that when I see someone, because they usually have a Rolex on or some type of a Swiss watch or a German watch or a watch name that I can't even produce or even pronounce. And those watches, when I get close enough to see the logo and I see it and I look it up, they're $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 watches. But if it's a Rolex, and I see a lot of Rolex executives on people's wrists that are sitting in first class, and I know that watch is a $25,000 watch. Why? Because I've been around a lot of Rolexes working auto races. In the Rolex 24, I've seen all the different brands of Rolex watches. So I've never owned one, but I know what they cost. I thought about buying a knockoff one time, but I said, hell with that. If I can't afford the real thing, I'm not bothering with it. So learn how to learn. That's the one thing that I really wanted to wrap this up with, and talking about the month of April. So it's been a fun month. It's been a lot of surprises. I really didn't get into a whole lot about the colonoscopy because, let's just say, get yourself checked out, folks. All right, get yourself checked out. I still don't know the results yet because the colonoscopy was the last week of the month. So I still don't know the results, but I'm assuming that if there was a problem, I would have been told that day. If there were any issues, I would have been told that day. I have a follow-up in May and this month, and I'll get all my results and information and my health update, and I'll continue on. But like I said earlier, this is the start of the second quarter. April is the month of the start of the second quarter. So you have April, May, and June. May and June are feast months. I am working at least 20 out of 31 days. And it could be possibly more. So what does that mean? That means if July, which probably won't, but let's just say August is the famine month, I will have made enough money in 3 months to pay the bills forward, pay some things off, and get ahead in my finances. That's the goal, and that's what you want to be able to do, because I would prefer paying in cash whenever possible. But we live in a world that 50% of places don't accept cash. I can't tell you how many times I go through an airport. I go to the smoothie counter and I want to buy a smoothie, and it'll say card only. So no cash? Nope. So another tip through the Dunn Talks: always carry cash. It can be as little as $20. Carry some cash, because not everyone will use a credit card. Not everyone accepts Apple Pay. Not everyone will scan, or take, nobody takes a damn check anymore. So you can't even think about using that. But debit cards are cash. So if you have at least one debit card through an account and you want to use cash, keep your cash in that. But I always carry cash because I never know when I'm going to run up against something that requires cash only. Okay? So that's it. That's it. Let's have some fun in the month of May. It is Mother's Day. If you're blessed enough to still have a mother alive, celebrate her. Make sure you take care of her in the month of May. My mom passed away years ago, but my mother-in-law, who's 88 years old, will be visiting during the month of May. So my wife is very happy. She lives in Springfield, Illinois, and she's coming down from Springfield to spend almost 2 weeks here in Florida. And they're doing all kinds of trips and stuff together, which gives me the freedom to work a lot of May because they'll be out and about doing their stuff as well. So don't forget, take care of your mothers. If you're married, fellas, take care of your wife on Mother's Day, especially if you have kids that are young. You buy the gift for the kids and have them present it to their mother. Okay? So everyone, like I said, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Look at my stuff. I'm an open book. There is no question that you can ask that I will not answer. So think about what it is you want to know. Take advantage of this old person, 6'7", who's still relevant, because I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. I've been taught a lot. And I'm still learning. You never stop learning. You learn how to learn until they put you in the ground. But I'm hoping that's no time soon. Like I said, I want to be around to see 100 years of age. So that's it. Dunn Talks for the month of April.